tasks of marketing communications. Now we're going to look at some issues associated with what marketing communications is expected to do. My suggestion is that marketing communications has 4 primary tasks, and it will influence audiences in not necessarily one of 4 ways, and very often campaigns will require 2 or more of these particular elements in order for the campaign to be successful. The first is differentiation. Marketing communications should be used in order to differentiate our brand from our competitors. It should also be used to inform audiences about what the brand is, how we should use it, how it's changed, what the benefits are, and how, through engagement with the brand, your life might be enhanced. We will also use marketing communications to reinforce ideas, beliefs about the brand and or the industry, and I'll come back to that one in a moment. And finally, the traditional approach is that we use marketing communications to persuade audiences to behave in a particular way. Well, we might persuade them to think in a particular way as well. Now, persuading is the long-established idea for advertising in particular. And back in the 1950s, for those who are interested, Vance Packard wrote a book called The Hidden Persuaders. And it was a reaction to the growth of advertising in the American market, and basically said advertising is bad. It influences audiences to buy goods and services they don't want and don't need. Now, that particular belief has now, for most people, been put to one side. We don't believe that now. Just ask yourself the question, who or what did you watch last night on television? So for those of you in the room, did you watch television last night?
Yeah.
Yeah? No? Oh, gosh, you're very good. Out and about being social. Very good. Yeah? Did you watch any adverts?
Yeah.
Yeah? Can you remember them? Okay.
I can remember one.
Are you going to buy them?
No.
Right. Point made. Yeah? Advertising doesn't make us buy products we don't need. Some people believe it does. I believe that is not the case at all. I think we'd all be bankrupt otherwise. Let's go through these a little bit more slowly. The first is to differentiate. We want to differentiate our brand because we want to say something that's different. We want it to stand out. And in particular, we want to position our brand in the marketplace such that we have a distinctiveness, a uniqueness that is of value to the target segment. Now, a lot of marketing communication strategy is about positioning our brands. And if you don't have a clear position, then it is unlikely that you're going to realize the full potential that your brand has. So therefore, marketing communications is absolutely critical to helping you establish the rightful competitive position of your particular brand. The second that I mentioned was reinforcement. And reinforcement can take one of 2 other R's. Yes? We can remind audiences, and we can reward audiences. Now, reinforcement is about looking at established brand values and encouraging audiences to maintain their allegiance to a particular brand. Let me give you an example. When there might be an air crash or an air disaster, the number of people who choose to fly drops off drastically. The same with rail accidents. So the major job for tourist authorities and for airline managers and rail managers is to get people to get back into the travel mode. And very often there's a lag. There's a lag of a couple of months. And then you will see after that activity a number of campaigns starting to encourage people back into the marketplace. We're trying to reinforce beliefs in our airline, rail brand, whatever it is, or as London has been undertaking a campaign to encourage tourists back into the UK after the recent terrorist events. So reinforcement and reminding people of the values that they've experienced in the past can be very productive. If we take it at a brand product level, we might be able to identify a particular part of our target segment who've stopped buying our brand. And lo and behold, they're actually buying our competitor's brand. Well, this is not on, is it? We need to do something about this. So, what do? We're going to send some communications to that target audience to remind them of the values that they experienced before when they used to consume our brand. So, reinforcement is an important part of reminding and reassuring customers, about what the brand stands for. A really important part of marketing communications activities are to inform audiences. We need to inform about what the brand is, what it stands for, and very often how to use the brand. In which case visual media might be very important to demonstrate the way in particular brand is used. So for the more older members of the audience who are viewing this DVD, you might remember Shake and Vac, the classic ad back of the 1970s. Yes, Rosie remembers it. Now, what we saw then was a demonstration of how to actually use the product by seeing it sprinkled on the floor by this young housewife, and then the ease with which she was able to clean the carpet with the Hoover afterwards. Yes, remarkable. And what is quite interesting, of what I read somewhere else, was that this poor lady had been struck down with food poisoning on the day of making that ad. So she did brilliantly, didn't she? But she had to make this ad actually feeling absolutely awful because of the food poisoning that she had been suffering. Anyway, I digress. That was a Shake and Vac ad which demonstrates how to use the product. Perhaps more modern examples. Can you think of an example of how we can see communications being used to inform us and to demonstrate how to educate us with a particular brand?
iPhone, iPod adverts.
Yes. So they show us scrolling through. Yes. Good one. Anything else?
IBM business adverts tend to show disasters happening and IBM technology being used to put them right together.
So this is the problem, this is the solution. Yeah. Yes. Classic approach to communications. Yes. Good examples. And perhaps those of you who are viewing this elsewhere, perhaps you could write down some examples yourself of where communications are used to inform, to demonstrate, to perhaps educate audiences how to use the brand. And perhaps you also could think about, well, is it effective? And if you were in charge, would you have done it that way or would you have done it a slightly different way? So, we're using communications to inform, to make aware, and to educate audiences. And of course, you're probably all familiar with one of the key goals of campaigns is to create awareness. But if you've got such a strong brand that you've got 90% awareness already established, your job is not to create awareness. Yes, you've got to maintain those awareness levels, but really you're focusing on differentiation, perhaps reinforcement, or persuasion. As I referred this now to Vance Packard's book, we need to persuade audiences perhaps that the values of our brand are superior to the values of our competitors. About a year ago, we saw a very interesting verbal debate, if that's a polite way of putting it, between Virgin Media and Sky. And they entered into a public disagreement about contractual issues and what could be shown, what rights the one party had over another. And this was debated in the public arena at great cost. Millions of pounds were spent in that particular discussion. We've seen British Airways and Virgin enter into public discussions and ads being taken out suggesting that the rival service is inferior in particular ways. These are all designed to persuade us that our brands are the best. Our brand is the one that you should be using. The virtue of your brand is communicated through their persuasive communications.